What? First off, I just want to say that this video is not sponsored whatsoever by DJI. I've just been using their products for a while, and I've been able to luckily step up to the Mavic Air 2, coming all the way from the Phantom 3. You can see that compared to the original Mavic Air, the Mavic Air 2 is not much bigger, which is a very good thing as far as portability goes. They both fold up. They both have the same fold up mechanisms. You come underneath, or you come out with the tops, and then you come underneath with the back. Very easy. Wingspan definitely is a bit bigger on the Mavic Air 2 compared to the Mavic Air original. You will find that we do have the same amount of sensors on this drone as opposed to its predecessor. We've got 2 on the front, 2 on the back, and 2 on the bottom. One big difference in the lens comparison between the Mavic Air and the Mavic Air 2 is the shape. In the Mavic Air original, we have a circular lens. In the Mavic Air 2, we have more of a rectangle shape to it, much like the Mavic Pro series. The sensor is also much better as well. I'm not sure what size the sensor is on the Mavic Air original, but we do have a 1/2 inch sensor on the Air 2. Now, I'm not going to go into all the specs. I'll leave a link below to DJI's website with everything that you might want to know or find out about it. Firstly, this drone is going to come in at 1.25 pounds, which does mean you are going to have to register it with the FAA. I know, whatever. Flight time, they do claim 34 minutes on one battery, 33 minutes with wind. Now that is going to vary on a few different things, whether or not, you know, how strong the wind is, your elevation. When they test these drones, they are testing them in the most optimal locations in the world. They're at sea level, they are, have perfect line of sight, so they are able to maximize these specs to make them more appealing to you. So if you happen to be living in a very high elevation, you're not going to get 34 minutes because the propellers are going to have to be working overtime to keep that drone in the air, just because the air density is much thinner the higher in elevation that you do go. It is also going to depend on what flight mode you're in. If you are in speed mode, your battery is going to deteriorate much faster than if you are in normal mode or tripod mode. So speed mode is going to get the least amount of battery, normal mode is going to get second least, and then tripod mode is probably going to get you the most air flight time. DJI is claiming that this drone will fly 11.49 miles. Really? And there's a few things with that. Don't fly your drone 11.5 miles away from you. You do definitely have to keep line of sight with this thing, and I'm not sure if you're Superman or who you are, but if you can still see your drone, this tiny little thing 11.5 miles away, tell me your secret. Let's talk speed for a second. In sport mode, you're going to be able to go 19 meters a second, which basically transfers into 42 miles an hour, so that is in sport mode. In normal mode, you're going to be doing 12 meters a second, which is 26 miles an hour. And in tripod mode, you're going to be going 5 meters a second at roughly, that translates into 11 miles an hour. The great thing that they introduced in the Mavic Air series and then also in the Mavic Pro series was the built-in internal storage, which they also included in the Mavic Air 2 at 8 gigs. The camera on this drone is a huge step up from its predecessor. So first up, we have a 1/2 inch sensor on this drone and 48 megapixels for photos, which translates into 8,000 by 6,000 actual pixels. And then if you do a hyperlapse or a time lapse, that's going to be translated into an 8K video. So that is outstanding. Very nice job, DJI. Focal length on the lens is going to be a 24mm lens. Basically, it's going to equal the same field of view as maybe you have a 24mm prime or a 24-70. It's going to be a 24mm lens. Aperture of 2.8, 4K max resolution on video, and they have a ton of resolutions and frame rates to go with those. I'll just go ahead and throw some up here. Your 4K resolution is going to be 3840 by 2160. Your frame rates with 4K are going to be 24, 25, 30, 48, 50, and 60. It can also shoot in 2.7K, so that's going to translate to 2688 by 1512. Same frame rates there. You're going to have 24, 25, 30, 48, 50, and 60. And of course we have 1080p, and that's 1920 by 1080. And you're going to have all the frame rates that you had in the previous 2 resolutions, plus 120 frames a second and 240 frames a second. That is outstanding. To be able to use actual usable resolutions in those high frame rates is pretty cool. Now you are able to shoot HDR in all resolutions, but you are capped at 24, 25, and 30 frames a second in whatever resolution that you shoot if you are shooting in HDR, so just keep that in mind. When you are recording video, you have two options as far as color profiles go. You have Cine and you have normal, so you're not able to go in there and adjust like sharpness or saturation or anything like that. You're either stuck to Cine or you're stuck to normal. I'm going to be shooting Cine no matter what, just because it's a flatter profile, and I do color grade my stuff in post, and that's just going to be able to allow me to bring out more colors and just play with the image a bit more. Now our bitrate in the Mavic Air 2 is 120 megabits per second. Megabits, 120 megabits per second, which is definitely an improvement on the Mavic Air original. I think that one was either 90 megabits per second, 100 or 100. I think it was 100. I don't know, but either way, it's definitely a much better bit rate. Therefore, you're gonna have more information in your video recordings. We haven't talked remote controls yet, and I'm sure it's one of the biggest things that you've seen so far, but they did beef up this controller much more so than what the original Mavic Air had. They've definitely improved it. This thing is a lot beefier. I was very, very happy when I put it in my hands. No more antennas anymore. I think they are probably built in here into the phone holder, which is sort of a relief. You're just never gonna have to mess with those things ever again. You stick your phone in here, and then there is a little cord that comes out. You plug it right into your phone and you're good to go. The sticks are down here underneath, much like the original Mavic Air controller, and then you have your tripod mode, your normal mode, and your speed mode right here at your fingertips. So you're not really gonna have to go in there and fold the menu and do all of that. You've just got it right here. You can switch back and forth very easily. Correct me if I'm wrong, I probably am, but they claim that this will get 240 hours of charge time. I'm not sure exactly if, how accurate that is. And then you can also, this is really cool, and I think the Mavic Air original could do this, but you can charge your phone with that cord. You can just go into the menu settings and just tell it to also charge your phone while it's plugged in and you are operating. Very, very cool. It definitely feels good in the hand. It's got some weight to it. I like it. Some people like the original, some people aren't really digging this. I like it a lot, and yeah, nothing really bad to say about it yet. They did pack in OcuSync 2.0 into the controller, which means you're definitely going to have fewer drop-offs as far as the transmission to your phone and the communication that you have with the drone while it's in the air. They claim that the OcuSync can go 6 miles, which kind of confuses me because they did claim that the drone could fly 11 miles away. OcuSync can cover 6 miles. So at some point, something's gonna happen. I don't know, but regardless, I'm not gonna be flying this 6 miles away. And this was sort of a very cool relief for me. The transmission to your phone is 1080p, as opposed to the original Mavic Air, which is, I think it's 720. So you just have this muddy image that you're looking at, and it's just much cooler, much better, especially when you're talking about controlling and trying to get the shot that you want. Having a 1080p transmission it's awesome. It's a huge improvement, and it was something I was very happy to see. Well, let's go ahead and look at some test footage. I did take it out yesterday for its maiden voyage, and it was, as far as controlling the drone and having it up in the air and being able to steer it the way I wanted to, this thing flies like a dream, and it was super cool to be able to see the improvements. I felt like the original Mavic Air was just a little bit too, it was almost too nimble. This thing had just very good response. It flew like a dream, and it was just awesome to be able to get this thing in the air, and it far exceeded my expectations. Here's just a little bit of footage from my test flight yesterday. It wasn't optimal conditions. I was definitely shooting in the middle of the day. I did not get the Fly More package, which does come with some ND filters. I did order the Polar Pro filters, the ND filters, which should be coming, I think, in mid-June, so I'll be doing a review on those. But for now, instead of shooting at a high shutter speed, I did shoot 4K 60 HDR, and I was pretty happy with the footage. Next, I tested the tracking. Now, the tracking is enabled. All you have to do is, if you have the drone connected to, if everything's on, all you have to do is just draw a square around the subject that you want to track, and then I did have it track me as I was running up this hill, and you can see that here, and it held on impressively well, and incredibly well actually, and it was a very nice surprise to see how well this thing did maneuver and how well it did fly itself, because I'll be honest with you, I probably couldn't have flown it that well and still been able to track my subject. Now, there is one caveat. When I did set up the auto tracking, since I was shooting in 4K 60, it did say that it will not do tracking mode in high frame rates. Now, I'm not sure what DJI considers a high frame rate. I don't know if you go above 30. For instance, if you're shooting in 48, 50, I know 60, it will not track in a high frame rate. So I just bumped it down to 30 frames a second and I was good to go. That's about it. Let me know what your thoughts are if you have any at all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.